Caitlin Collins tries to turn this Epstein survivor against Trump, and she learned the hard way. You guys gotta check this video out.
CNN has now learned that a meeting between the Attorney General Pam Bondi, the FBI Director Cashapp, the Vice President J.D. Vance, and others did happen last night at the White House, with a source telling CNN that they discussed a number of topics, including the Jeffrey Epstein case and the administration's next steps on that matter. As we've sought to emphasize here, a group that feels like they are missing from the administration's conversations are the survivors of the abuse by Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell. Tonight, my source is a survivor, Annie Farmer. Maxwell recruited her and groomed her when she was just 16 years old. Annie testified at Maxwell's 2021 trial that both Maxwell and Epstein had abused her. And Annie joins me now, along with her attorney, Jennifer Freeman, is back with us. And I'm very grateful to have both of you here tonight because, Annie, I do think this is something that is missing from a lot of the conversation about subpoenas or witnesses or Congress. Just for everyone to remember, you testified at Maxwell's trial. You were actually the only survivor to do so by your full name.
So really quick, guys, this video's about to come at you guys fast, right? Watch Caitlin Collins' energy completely change. She did not have any of this energy when the VIP flight logs came out. CNN did not push that. CNN did not want to go after that. But they want to go after Trump in whichever way they can. Watch this.
Others did so by pseudonyms, understandably. And I just, one, I want to say thank you for being willing to come back and talk about it. But secondly, I wonder what you want people to know who are at home, who are watching all of this play out with Ghislaine Maxwell tonight.
Well, first, I just want to say thank you so much for having me here and also for the coverage you've been doing centering survivors, because I agree that that's something that hasn't been done nearly enough in these last few weeks. I think that, one thing I think it's important people understand is that this chaotic process that's been unfolding has a real cost for survivors. A central part of trauma is a feeling of a lack of control, and that has certainly been triggered here, and I think has a lot of us feeling, very uneasy, really exhausted by this process. And we are learning things just like everybody else, mostly, through the news, through text from friends. We have not been given any kind of a heads up about things that are happening that are directly related to us. These meetings, even this prison transfer was something I expected we would learn about prior to learning about it in the news. And unfortunately, that's not how it has unfolded.
That's totally valid frustration, right? But Caitlin Collins is setting stuff up like this, like Trump is personally ghosting these survivors. That's dishonest framing, plain and simple.
When you find out that Ghislaine Maxwell is being moved, which we really haven't been told why or who signed off on that, from this prison in Florida to a lower security federal camp in Texas, I wonder what goes through your mind when you hear that.
Honestly, just even learning that the DOJ would be meeting with her was extremely disturbing. This is someone who has been convicted of sex trafficking, by a jury. She not only procured girls and young women for Epstein, but she also participated in the abuse of minors. And, to hear that they are meeting with her and considering involving her in the investigation after she has been, been a perjurer, it was very confusing and disturbing. And so, the rumors that followed about a possible commutation or pardon, very upsetting. And then with this prison transfer, I think it again.
Exactly. That's exactly what it is. CNN treats speculation like a sworn-in testimony when it fits their anti-Trump narrative. That's exactly what it is. And they're confusing this young lady. I'm telling you, man, Caitlin Collins is just so demonic. Look at her face. Just look at her.
Feels like she is getting preferential treatment. That sounds like something that's unprecedented, and it's really worrying to us about what might be coming next.
Well, one of the things she was accused of lying about involved you, and at trial, just so everyone remembers, your mom actually testified that when you went to the ranch in New Mexico in 1996, that Jeffrey Epstein had promised your mom you were going on a retreat and that there were dozens of other girls who were going to be there, that Ghislaine Maxwell was his wife. And then you got there and you were the only one. I believe that's what your mom testified at trial. And so I just think maybe that is part of this, that, we've heard some people describing Ghislaine Maxwell. I should know people who are on the far right describing Ghislaine Maxwell as the victim here.
Yeah, I have seen that.
Before she gets into that, that's CNN Caitlin Collins' bait. Caitlin Collins wants this survivor to slam Trump by far, but you're about to notice she doesn't take the bait.
That as well. I think this attempt to sort of rehab her image in order to potentially, make some sort of commutation more palatable. But I've actually felt, really appreciative of the public's response to that. It feels like that campaign is not working. People recognize that she's a predator, not a victim. And I think that any additional lessening of sentence or negotiation will really be met with a lot of outrage and seen as a sign of some guilt.
If the president's not ruling it out, a pardon, and he just emphasizes that he has the ability to do so, I wonder what you would want to say to him about even considering that.
Yeah, I just would want him to know it would be devastating for the victims of Epstein and Maxwell. I mean, this was the one person who was held accountable for these crimes, and she was held accountable for her crimes, not for someone else's, but for the ones that she committed. And I think there's many other ways for him to move forward with this that would actually be indicative of him not being involved, that would not involve her, right? Releasing more information as people are clamoring for. I think anything that involves her participation would be seen as a sign of guilt.
And Jennifer, you're with us here as well. When you just watch how all of this is playing out, do you get the sense that the administration is listening, or that Republicans, as they're fighting for this, or fighting about this, I should say, that they're listening to stories like Annie's when they're listening to all of this?
I'm afraid not, which is really upsetting to other survivors. Obviously, Annie has spoken beautifully, but many others have told me how upsetting this is. It feels like a betrayal. It feels atrocious to them, and it's hard to stomach.
Annie, I mean, one comment that we heard from the president yesterday was, this is being pushed by the Democrats, that it's...
This right here, guys, is literally what's going on. They're weaponizing this young lady's trauma to hurt Trump. That's exactly what they're doing. They always look for their hit piece to go against Trump. They wanted a hit piece on Trump, but all they did was prove why Americans don't trust the media anymore. Let me know what you guys think about this quick video. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe if you're new. And as always, let me know what you react to. We're out.